It has been now 2 days since the release of the newest patch in Guild Wars 2 regarding chance survives. And today I want to give you my full, honest thoughts on the patch. So I played everything that there is to play in this patch. And before I tell you my criticism of the patch, I want to start with something positive. That we got 12 new relics. This is really good. We got normally only 6, now we got 12. They are core relics, yes, but that's also good, because that means also people that don't have Chance of Wilds expansion will still get something. That's very good, and you can also purchase them from the TP. So if you want to see my full thoughts on the relics, be sure to check out the video in the top right hand corner or the description below. Then we got the raid challenge modes. This is really good for a small fraction of the player base, because they want to have some try-hard content, and the raids themselves are not hard enough, so those people were going for the world's first race, were trying to kill the really challenging bosses in the challenge mode. And they are really challenging. We have people that are over 10 hours now and still have not completed it. So it's actually quite challenging, even for hardcore players. I guess that's good, but not a lot of people are actually interested in that content overall in Guild Wars 2. So then let's talk about the story. There are no spoilers in this video, but I will tell you that apparently the lore nerds are quite happy with what happened in the story. I can't tell you too much about it because I'm not that interested in story, but apparently it's quite good. We will get to the negatives of the story in a bit. Just let me tell you that the lore is actually okay. Then we got a lot of new achievements and skins. That's usual. We like that. With more armor skins, full set of weapon skins, multiple actually, and of course a lot of achievements. And while we're at it, we got a lot of Homestead stuff as well. So I think when it comes to what stuff you can actually acquire, it's actually quite decent. The patch, yeah, we get a lot of new stuff that is, it's arguable if it's good looking, but at least we got something new to collect, and I think that's the end game of Guild Wars 2 in the end, to collect more fashion related stuff. So that makes sense, and I'm happy with that. We did not get, that's important if you don't notice, we did not get yet the legendary backpack. That will happen with the next patch, so with the last patch of the Chance of Wilds cycle. And don't forget, we also got a small balance hotfix that is only affecting PvP and World vs. World, and is actually also only affecting Ranger and Mesmer. So they got some spear nerfs there, which is still, both are completely fine and playable, but they are a little bit tuned down. And the Relic of the Stormsinger got a little bit of a nerf. Let's now get to the really clear and really big negatives with this patch. The map. So let's talk about the map. The map is actually, in my opinion, very decently looking. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, I think the map is really nice. And I'm really happy that we got a new map. Because in the latest patch before this, we actually did not get a new map. So at least now we got a new map. But you can clearly see that the map is using reused assets from Arborstone and get something with Chancea Sintry and maybe even Lowland Shore mixed in to make it a little bit different. But the color scheme is different, but you can clearly see that the structures, the buildings and stuff is just one-on-one copy-paste from Arborstone. That's okay, but it's not as creative as we normally get used to by Guild Wars 2 developers, and they're very nice and yeah, just very cool map design. We got also adventures, that's very nice. We got 2 adventures in the new map, I like that, but the map is really small, really small. I was surprised that I completed the map, so map completion took me around 15 to 20 minutes at the beginning of the patch. I was really surprised, I was shocked actually. I thought, what, that's all? I was so surprised. If you look at the size of the map on the screen, it's actually, in my opinion, around 1/3 of Chancea Sintry or Lowland Shore. And this is the whole map. It will not get extended. It will probably be a map to the right of this, to the east of this, that will have the same size, but it will be a new map. It will be the 4th map of the Chancea cycle. And in my opinion, that's just a very small map. I don't know. The map itself is okay. Don't get me wrong. I think there are a lot of events there. I like that. There's always something going on. But it feels really repetitive after some time, just because it's very small. You know, you don't see something new. You always see the same events after a time. There are maybe 20 events or something on the map. And they are, I would say, somewhat okay. Some are really good. But it's not really that interesting after a while, because you see always the same background, the same enemies. It's not really too interesting. And we will get to the longevity in a second, but that's also a big criticism that I have. But first, let's talk about the story instances. I said before that the story from the lore side is actually quite good, but there is some missing voiceover, so people might criticize that. But more importantly for me, I think the story is very slow paced. So that means we have a lot of dialogue that you can't skip, which is always a criticism for me as a player that is interested in gameplay. And that's the more important part, I think we only have 3 story instances, and they are just artificially prolonged by stuff that you need to grind for the mastery, that you need to actually listen to dialogue, that you have to do some random, I don't know, mob killing that you one-shot, you'd have to defend circles. It just feels very prolonged. The real story, or the gameplay in the story rather, could be done in 10 minutes, but it's prolonged into something like an hour or so, or even longer, just by some random events that are put in there to make it feel longer. I don't like that. I think if you want story, listen to the dialogue. You should not be forced to be in a story instance for 2 hours without getting actually anything real gameplay-wise. I don't know. I don't like this system. And while we are at it, I don't like the new masteries either. There's one thing that I like with the wisps and the murders. You will see that and you get it. But in my opinion, it's not good. I don't like it. It's not really delivering a lot of gameplay, and you get, I think, 15 more mastery points, so to say, to unlock. It's just feeling very boring. We get more homesteading stuff, but it's not really changing in the game anything. The gameplay is the same, and you just get more loot from the events and stuff. It's just not feeling very good. I don't like it. I guess they always have to add some masteries, but I don't, at this point, I don't really see why we actually get more masteries, because they always just, you grind them once and then it's the same gameplay. It's not changing anything from you. It's not like mounts or gliding, or even the shape bot at least gave you something when you unlocked the new mastery, but this is just, it almost feels like Iceblood Saga's masteries, which were in my opinion one of the worst masteries they ever added. Yeah, but now let's talk about longevity. So when it comes to longevity, I would say in regards that we get the legendary backpack, which we need the map completion of this map, we need a lot of stuff from the quest that we got. There's only one quest in the map. We have to grind this over and over to get the legendary backpack for sure. And we also have to grind the events there. So there is some longevity. But if you don't want the legendary backpack, or if you're not interested in that, there's actually nothing that keeps you returning after you get the skins and the achievements. It's actually very fast that you can get those, and then you are done. After 2 days, I'm almost done with all of them, and it's actually crazy. So what am I doing in the new map? Nothing. I don't come back to it at all if I don't go for the legendary backpack. I think that's a big criticism. There is no real meta event. You could say the lanes are somewhat of a meta event. I would say it's okay from the rewarding side, but it's in the end, it might not stay like that, and then people don't come back to it at all. They just grind for the legendary backpack and that's it. I don't like that system. I think there's no real longevity in the map because it's just too small and too little content in there. And that's the next point. That's the scope. The scope of this patch is very small. I was surprised. This patch has less scope than typical Living World Season 3 and 4 updates. And those were shipped out in a way faster cadence. I would say they were shipped out in some kind of month, maybe 2-month cadence. And we got them consistently without any new expansion. And the maps were, in my opinion, bigger and a little bit more active to some extent too, or more versatile. So if you look, for example, at Ember Bay or something, the map is bigger and has probably the same amount of events as this one, but it has the jumping puzzle in there, it has some long-term stuff that you can grind, a lot of achievements, and the story was also somewhat similar, and it was on a shorter cadence, you know, and that's what I think is really crazy, that you get that much content, or that little content, in the amount of time that we now waited for this patch, because it's 3 months from the last patch. But, and that's the important part here, if you only play open world content, it was actually 6 months, because the last release that actually gave you a new map and new open world content was 6 months ago. So we got 6 months to wait for this small patch. I think this is actually insane. And I think if you look at this together, Chantia Wilds is actually not delivering that much content as you would expect. So I think the amount of just content we get is very low. I don't mind it too much because there's some grind going in those maps, and I can actually enjoy them as well. And I'm also enjoying raids and convergences. So I think it's, in general, I like Chantia Wilds, but this patch shows that the scope is just very small. Don't expect too much of those patches. And you can clearly see that the developers are actually working on something else at the meantime, because you can't have a big studio like ArenaNet and just put out that much content in 3 months. That's actually not possible in my opinion. So if you want to hear my full thoughts on what I think about maybe Guild Wars 3 coming out and what is actually going on there, be sure to check out this video. Let me know your opinions in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon. Thanks Malice, thanks Lane, and I hope to see you all in the next video.